Hey folks, welcome back. It's Lucid, and we're back in our game with Late Age Ctis. I got a few turns for you here in this episode. So we're getting Death Gems from Caleb. This is from Well of Misery, and this is for our compliance, and that we will neither dispel Well of Misery nor Maelstrom. And I've never seen this done in a game. I offered to put gems into to like split one of them with him, but he didn't do that. So this requires a tremendous amount of trust on the part of this player that we're not going to dispel it. Because in theory, right, if I was going to overcast well, which I could do, because I have a crazy freaking high death income, I could use the death gems he's giving me and use it to overcast him. I don't know. I think this, I think this is covered by the, like, trades or binding clause, because there's no diplomacy in this, right? Like, I have told him I will not contribute towards having it dispelled. I take this as, like, something I'm not even allowed to break by the game rules. But, nevertheless, it would be hard for him to prove without getting into my turn. And he doesn't know this is me, so, he doesn't know this is going up on YouTube. But, yeah, I mean, obviously, if he knew that, it would be easy to validate that, okay, this guy does what he says, because it's going up on YouTube. Anyhow. 10 Earth Gems, 5 Death Gems. This is for Shade Mail. Shade Mail costs 10 Death Gems and 5 Earth Gems, so we're getting an inverse payment because Earth Gems are worth more to me. And we're just charging him cost, because for me, actually, the conversion of Death to Earth is valuable. And the reason it's valuable is because if y'all remember that Excel chart, I'm going to get my Death Gems long before I get the Earth Gems I need for the artifacts I want. A bunch of thrones have been claimed. We found a Copper Cliff. This is a pretty good site. Earth and a Fire Gem. Those are most welcome. And this is in this land that was Vedheim's. It makes sense this hasn't been discovered, because these aren't really Vedheim paths. Coming over, we've got a few battles. We are pinging here, because I'm trying to see where he's moving armies. And we're pinging here with a little raiding detachment. Not really pinging, but raiding. And I believe we're raiding here with just our little flambeau dudes. Yoink. We get to see Phlegra also attacking Erythia. And Phlegra has a pretty proper doom stack here. There's things I like about it and there's things I don't. He's got a lot of shackled mages and a few oppressors. And what this kind of means, it's really easy as Phlegra to burn out your communions, like super easy. He has some generals here too, yeah. It's super easy to burn out your communion, so you really do need really high ratios to not ruin it. So I like that. I don't know, like, we're getting to the phase in the game where you kind of, like, with a stack of this high commitment, you kind of want like a 6 or a 7. This could be Fog Warriors. This is what it looks like to me. It certainly has the paths. It's 4 magic, but this guy's Air 5. Certainly could be Fog Warriors, and could be anti-magic and stuff. So we're not going to get to see what it is, but it could also be Mass Flight. Oh, he does cast anti-magic on Flaming Arrows. What's on this other side? Oh, we have actually an Erythian army here. Oh yeah, this is... So the Erythia player messages me after this. He was supposed to have a Foul Vapors caster here. And he was going to nuke his own stuff. But he doesn't cast it. So instead we see Wind Guide going off with the air gems, but we don't see Fog Warriors. So this is kind of like early mid-game tech. We don't have Aerofend, but... this stuff from Erythia was really just intended as a distraction until he could get Foul Vapors off. But you can see that ain't happening. There's no Foul Vapors cast. And Phlegra troops are really good. Like, these Cyclops warriors are pretty sick, and the Mouflon cataphracts are good, and the crossbows are good. So, I mean, this is a pretty good stack from Phlegra. It has big weaknesses, though. You know, I don't know if this guy... Let's see what the god was going to cast. I don't think this... Maybe there's enough gems for Serpent's Blessing. What did he cast? I'm not sure. But he casts some buffs and runs in. But this is vulnerable to Foul Vapors. They don't really have any elemental resistances, so there's a lot of things Erythia can do. You know, like they can do Sulfur Haze, they can do Foul Vapors, they can do... Erythia just has a ton of magic options. The thing is, though, is now Erythia, who's been subbed into by, I believe, Darkside Cookies. Yeah, I forget exactly what happened with the original player, but yeah, we got a sub for Erythia. So this was, I think, just a misclick. I think he had somebody who's going to move in patrol, and they didn't. So this was really just to Foul Vapors. And I think that, oh, this is the big battle. So Utgard finally writes out, all right, get out your friggin' popcorn. This is the battle we've been waiting for. So Utgard has been sitting around, not really doing anything. Like, losing the rating war to man, hasn't been taking the big fights. And then we have this. He finally writes out, and I had sent him messages. I was like, dude, I think what you need to do is script Luck Luck Magic Duel, or these guys you're going to lose horribly. I'd also told him, I think these guys in the corners here are set up to do Phoenix Power and Earth Power, and I'm sorry, Phoenix Pyre and Earth Power, and then continue to explode. So we'll see what actually happens. If the reason he would do these is because they're going to be primarily the Magic Duel targets. So this is going to be really interesting. The idea here, Utgard has... We'll look at this Utgard Bless real quick, and then I'll talk. Okay, so these guys are all blessed. So, I mean, they have this crazy bless. Magic weapons, air shield, shock resistance, fire resistance, regen, blood bond. The blood bond makes them very hard to kill, but they have fortitude too, right? Oh, this build doesn't have fortitude. For some reason, I thought it had fortitude. The fortitude's actually really good against Gifts of Heaven. Like, you'll still blow up if you have a group of fortitude blood bond dudes, but it makes it significantly less effective. What happens is when they get hit by Gifts of Heaven, Soul Slay doesn't work like this. Soul Slay will still kill the individual unit. It won't interact with blood bond. But basically the highest damage thing, aside from like the 999 damage stuff, probably not but one of the highest is Gifts of Heaven. And Gifts of Heaven just does 150 blunt damage, and it blows these things the fuck up, because it not only kills the guy it hits, but it damages the guys around him. Fortitude's gonna not only make it where it's possible, I believe, for a guy to survive a single round, but it will percolate less damage, most importantly, to the people around him. Luck is very important in this, in that it's going to... Like, if a guy has luck and he gets hit by Gifts of Heaven, he will survive. And he'll survive. And also, he's not going to percolate damage to people around him. So luck is very good as part of that. And this guy's doing Strength of Gaia. He's got the god here with the Ring of Returning. Let's just watch and enjoy this. What did these guys actually do? Phoenix Power. Earth Power, Phoenix Power. I wonder if he's doing... What do you do with Earth 2? This isn't enough for Magma Eruption. We're going to have to keep our eyes on those guys in the front. Oh, they're getting killed. Yeah, they're good at the magic duels. So Utgard did 1 or 2 rounds of luck, and then has done magic duels and has deleted most of the front guys here. Now, I don't think a lot of these guys were communion mages, but I remember a lot of these guys were. I thought the guys in the middle here were. So there's a lot of dead if we look at it. There's a lot of dead Magister Arcanes from Magic Duel already. And the problem, though, is there may not be critical mass at Gifts of Heaven yet. So the Gifts of Heaven are coming down. These guys are running in. Right now, it's not looking great for Utgard. Okay, these guys are kind of surviving in the front line. They're kind of doing okay. But what's happening now is the occasional guy is getting hit by Gifts of Heaven. Next time we have one of these, I'm going to zoom in and we can watch the damage. But these guys are going to start deleting now one of these guys every turn. Okay, we're about to have a Gifts of Heaven. Where is it? It's right here. Alright, so you can see he got hit. This guy got hit for 68 damage, and then it percolated a tremendous amount of damage out here. Now, these guys aren't super low at the moment, but if a few more gifts come in, they'll start taking a... It only takes like 6 hitting in an area, and you'll start blowing these guys up. Foul Vapors is also out. It was cast by the Huntress. But Man does have Serpent's Blessing on. I believe the Huntress is on... Yeah, this is Utgard casted. So Utgard casted, even though I don't think they have poison resistance. So they're just going to regen through it. And that makes sense. It would normally be a good call. The problem is that Man just did Serpent's Blessing. So it actually ends up hurting Utgard, because he's got some of these guys taking like 4 damage ticks on poison. Okay, that was a good example. You saw it got hit here and it killed somebody over here. Gifts of Heaven is just so brutal against this, but it's kind of a critical mass thing, right? Like, it got kills for sure. Gifts of Heaven got kills, but how many kills it gets largely has to do, like, if it's really only gotten kills by the primary target being hit. It hasn't really gotten many blood bond kills, and to get the blood bond kills, you need a critical mass. And Utgard was able to magic duel enough dudes that critical mass didn't happen. And the boar's right here, and they're like, no, let's not fuck with this guy. They like run away, and then the boar runs off. So in total, almost all the Seth Kona die. But Man has lost these guys, 170 gold each. He's lost 20 of them. And he's lost his whole stack. Utgard only lost 25 Garm Herdings, which are expensive, but I'm pretty sure these guys are more expensive. I did the losses for Man, when you add it up, are like, I want to say it's like 8,000 gold lost for Man and like 2,500 or something for Utgard. Maybe the math is wrong there, but I think it was something like that. I just remember putting that in my calculator or something, but it might be a false memory. Anyway, we'll watch it one more time. There's another detail. Man did cast Hal, and that ends up being important here. Hal ends up doing a ton of work. This would have been a much... So, look, after all the magic duels, you can see there's a lot of Seth Kona left. And they would have survived, but I guess they got Foul Vapored too. Between the Foul Vapors and the Howl, they're all gonna die. And that's actually a bit of a problem, because this was a major source of, this was a major source of all of the deaths that were taken, like the losses. There's things Utgard could have done. Like, they could have had most of the mages that after they were done magic dueling and stuff or whatever, they, enter a communion, and then you could, at the end of it, like turn round 5, you could cast Soul Vortex on the communion. And then if wolves got around them, they would heal up. You could do mass regen on the communion. You could do elemental fortitude. You could do a lot of buffs to keep the communion slaves alive. Because I think the way to think about this fight is you're not really he might not have known how it was going to get cast, or He certainly knew he was going to foul vapors himself, though. So regen and elemental fortitude or poison resistance would have been nice. But the plan is basically like use the Seth Kona to kill the Magister Arcanes and then rely on your Garms to kill the rest. So anyway, this is really, really good news for us because if Man completely ran over Utgard, we'd be in a bad way. Now, I kind of would like to have like a final battle with Kosk. Like, I would love for Kosk to be in a great position and for us to have our final war together. But I'm just not set up to be... Like, he's playing very aggressive. And all the neighbors are worried that he's going to run away with the game. And when this happens, we're like, okay, whew, sigh of relief. He's not going to just spiral out of control. If Utgard inflicts this kind of losses on him a couple times, even if Utgard loses, which actually is kind of in my interest, I don't really want Illwinter going up. I mean, if Utgard won, I'd be okay with that too. But I kind of would rather Man beat Utgard. Man's probably the biggest right now, and we don't really want him completely running away with the game. So anyway, there's a nice kind of balance here. The other thing that happened is there was a stack similar to this, about as many dudes, but not as much mage support, I believe. And Utgard mono-dropped that, which was really risky, right? Because the monolith died, then these Garms, not only would the monolith be dead, but the Garms wouldn't be blessed, and they probably would have lost this. So, yeah. It was a really risky move, but it paid off. The monolith stack wiped another Man army, and then Utgard killed this one. The thing I'm worried about, though, is Utgard going to get their raiding game back online? Like, they've got to do some major damage control. Man's probably worried that we see these losses and we turn on him. I don't think that's going to happen, at least for me. So anyway, that's that. Here is what I'm thinking over here on this front. So we've moved our main army south. I thought about moving it here, but I was a little worried that he all-ins and defends this, and then he would be able to come back and all-in and defend this. Could just be a bad way for us. This was the move I kind of thought he would take, and that's why I pinged it. There's nothing here, though. Instead, he was trying to block our raiding. Right, like we had these two squads here. We raided here and here where we couldn't defend. But we might have raided here. And this is what he was trying to block with these guys. So there's a few things. It means this army, which was here the previous turn, I thought was going to maybe combine with this army and try to defend if we moved our whole stack. The other option is I was like, maybe he sees the monkeys are coming and he's going to take this army and move it north to combine here so that he's ready to fight the monkeys. But he didn't do that. And what that basically means is this army is now committed to my theater of war. So I'm going to have to kill it. Which was just a decision Bogarus got to make, who was going to have to deal with that. And what I'm expecting, I have got a scout in the capital. You can see we do have scouts. The Staretza here are potentially going to move here. I think the move for him to make, I'm right here. This army has one hostile province it can attack. It has basically one move. I'm in a position where I have a very predictable move. And that move is to go here, right? He has a small army here that would get absolutely wrecked by this. And he has a small army in the cap. With them combined, they would get wrecked by it. However, if he moves all the Staretza here and loads them up with gems to do elemental spam of various kinds... he could stack wipe this. This is what this army is vulnerable to, is elemental spam. Which a lot of armies are vulnerable to. Don't hold it against this army. But it's not something we want to have happen. So what we're going to do is we're going to put 4 death gems on this guy who's a white mage. Or, as Twiceborn. And we're going to send him in to gem bait. We're going to do invulnerability. We're going to do protection from fire, soul vortex, blessing, fire shield, advance, and cast. Okay? And the thing that buys us is, one, we'll get to see his full script. We'll get to potentially gem bait him if he's doing the best move he can do, which is the move he needs to do in a situation like this, like in a situation like Bogarus is in, they need to take fights against me. And this is a moment when I'm giving him a very predictable move, right? Like, I have only one move I can make. He has a chance to completely wipe my army. He needs to take it. So I'm giving him this move, but then I'm not going to do it. And what we're going to do instead is gym bait him. And this is kind of one of the things where you can end up like shadow boxing with yourself. Like, if Bogarus doesn't know what they're doing as a player, they won't do this move, or this guy will just die. And maybe he would have moved on the mages here, but not put gems on them for elemental spam, and I would have just had the chance to wipe his whole army, you know? And then it's like, you know, this ends up being a pretty suboptimal move, because I just waste this army's whole turn. But we're going to play assuming that our opponents are good at the game. And we're going to assume they're going to make what, in my opinion, are smart moves. And, you know, if they don't do it, then we'll adjust in the future going forward. But so far, this Bogarus player looks like they know what they're doing. They've just been the unfortunate victim of getting attacked by Raga, losing a bunch of stuff, but killing a bunch of Raga stuff, driving them off. Then the monkeys attack them. They kill a bunch of the monkey stuff, drive them off. But the monkeys have recruited me in the war, and now the monkeys and I are coming back, you know, in the third round. So it's hard. It's just a hard position to be in. But it is Bogarus. They are going to scale really well into the late game. They are a blood power. They are a cold blood power. I'm not in a position right now to easily 1v1 someone without moving out my mage core. And because my whole strategy is around getting to construction 8 at a really good timing, at a pretty good timing, that doing that would be against the whole build. So we're not going to do that. Anyway, so in those ways, it makes sense for us to take this war against Bogarus. The other thing that we're buying by doing this move, by moving here and gym baiting, and by the way, if this is just PD, this guy will kill it, is we're moving in reinforcements. So we've got these guys here. We're bringing in almost 40 more sacreds, or we are bringing in 40 more sacreds, but some of them are pretty shit. And we're bringing in some more death gems. All in all, an important addition to our crew, which means we'll be in a better position to go run over whatever's left here. We're going to raid here with these guys, and we're going to raid here with these guys. We did just buy them again. Maybe we should have been a little more careful with them, but I don't know. It is what it is. We're raiding here. These guys, as a spoiler, they're going to die. The other thing, and I think I mentioned this last episode, but I recorded it a bit ago, so I'm not sure what I said. We have fully switched over. Even though we've got labs and temples in these forts, and this is going to trigger some people, we are making only high... We know no commander that is not the High Priest of Ctis, okay? Except we're making sages because we don't have a temple here. And their research is just so freaking good, I can't say no to it. But everywhere else, our capital, we're making priests. We're making some of the hero duels as well. And really, that's just so that we get some patrol chaff to further obscure operations here. One thing I might not have mentioned is that there's a pool of sanctity here. I can't remember. Oh, you need a Holy 2 mage. Yeah, we're site searching at this turn. I noticed an event that our demonic troops are being struck by holy fire, and I was like, fuck. And what this means is there's a few different sites. The most likely one is the Pool of Sanctity. Nice thing is it gives a water gem, but the bad thing is it's going to potentially kill undead units. And that would include, like, all of my priests who I've reanimated. So we're not going to do that. We're not going to use this province. The problem is I then have to find an interior province, so province not on a border, where I can patrol all of the adjacent provinces that connect to it. And there's not a ton. So first of all, you have to rule out all the border provinces. So that only really gives us here, like, these ones in the middle. Like these three. This one's ruled out, so that gives me these two. This one has more connections than this one. We could do our cap, but our cap's a very likely target for scouts to go, and for scrying sorts of things. So the cap is also kind of out. This would be a province, but we don't really have any infrastructure over here. Anyway, when you look at it, we just decided to do it here. Just kind of walking you through my dilemma for a moment. The thing that sucks about this is we need to patrol this province, and 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 this province. It's a lot. But we're going to try. And if a scout gets through, a scout gets through. But you can see we started building a palisade here. I do want to have this palisaded when we start doing our shenanigans. So we'll get to see. But we are still 3 turns away from having construction 8. And we are slamming priests as hard as we know how to. And with that, we will end and go to turn 37. All right, we got turn 37. And we get a message from Arco. I had sent him a message the previous game about how he needs to watch the birds. I believe they're the second greatest set in the mid-game after man. I think there's actually a slight misassessment. I think birds are in position 1 by a margin now, after man's fight. I probably could go back and show you that. The message I sent him. We get 5 death gems again from Well of Misery. We get 19 astral from Erythia. I had sent him all my water. I think I had sent him 23 water or something. And he turned those into pearls, and I let him keep some of them. But I just don't really need that water that much right now, and I really need the pearls. So, little win-win. He's in a desperate situation, too. So, he can use all the help he can get. We get an Oakwood Tower, 1 more nature gem, which we certainly appreciate. I found another site here, the Pool of Sanctity. This is the one I was talking about that I expected to be here, and this is Water 1. And kills Undead 5, it's not a big chance. It doesn't kill that much stuff, but I still don't want it hitting my undead priests. So we're just not gonna bother setting up shop there. And you can see we got rid of the event. We moved our guys out who were undead that would have triggered the Pool of Sanctity. And time to watch the battles. This is the gem bait. And indeed, he did move all the Staretza. And Baba Yaga here, she summons an air elemental already. So she doesn't do anything like communion up first. She just summons it. And this air elemental is actually going to be the one that kills me. And it saves him a whole round of further gem baiting. Because he gets all these guys out. Now, this air elemental hasn't landed yet. Or hasn't killed me. So it just landed. Zoom in so you get to see what's happening. It's just landed. We took 1 trample damage, which means we passed the defense check for our first one, which is lucky. Because there's about to be a few more air elementals summoned. Okay, so we got like several more air elementals summoned before we died. But you can see we're dead now. We now live on as a white mage. Weakened in with a chest wound, but otherwise none worse for the wear. And yeah, we burnt a ton of gems. It doesn't seem like that much, but it was a lot. There's a bunch of imps that were summoned. It was... this is right now 5, but it's actually 6 because there's one across the field. 6 air elementals and 7 fire elementals, and a lot of these were 2 gems apiece. So we're pretty close to like 25, 30 probably total gems. It was a big deal. So yoink, and we scouted them. You got to confirm that's what they're doing. Here we raid. And here we raid. Unfortunately, we get intercepted here, and there's a Staretza here with a big contingent of crossbows, and these guys really don't like crossbows. They got flaming arrows. They're just chopping us to pieces here. And they hit us with the Mind Burn. Yeah, there's just a pretty good counter raid by him. We know it was risky, but sadly, we finally managed to kill this Merc. This Merc we've been trying to kill off for forever, but we don't get the gear. Feels bad, man. Patala is attacking here. So Patala is rolling out, and this is the big battle between Patala and Bogarus, or a big battle. These archers are just fucking these mages up. It is ridiculous. It's like you try to have pajama men back here doing some work, and they're just getting roasted by these arrows. And then mass flight, and these guys come and kill the rest of the mages. And let me tell you, once Bogarus has all their mages killed in combat, it is over. There's no point watching anything else. Of note, we have Foul Vapors up, and we have Relief. Which is really good thinking by Patala, because a lot of the interesting things Bogarus can do are like Rigor Mortis plus Skelly spam and Elemental spam, you know? But Relief helps counter that. Mass Flight helps counter all that. This is just a really well-scripted Patala army. So, I'm happy. I mean, Bogarus seems really well-scripted. It would have been cool for him to make it to the late game, too. It just, from a power perspective, Bogarus scales a lot harder than Patala, I think. In the deep late game. They just have so many good mages. So, anyway, it makes sense for us to kind of take him out. Now, this turn's a little weird. Bogarus is actually going to end up staling. And we were going to attack this province anyway, but it's going to work out in our favor because this army is going to stay here. It still has some gems on it, but the thing is that we've now baited some of the gems out, so there won't be like as many air elementals, and we have a bigger army now, right? We had 40 sacreds show up last turn, so that's important. We're moving these guys in to defend this province, 2-province move here. And we're continuing to raid by pushing up this way. So yeah, that's basically it for this turn. Events, we got some nature gems. Found a sectarian movement. We end up patrolling them out this turn with the ghouls. But yeah, so I think that's it for this turn. We're getting ever closer to Construction 8. Ever closer. We teleported our god home so that we're doing the construction, like the foraging and stuff in our capital. We're done blood hunting, so we're empowering now in Earth. This is going to be important later for us getting the Atlas of Creation, and then also for the Sword of Many Colors, and both of those things are going to help us boost our way up to all the different things we want to make. And I think we'll leave it for you there, and yeah. We'll see you in the next episode. So take care.